It's time for the visit with the person of high strangeness. I'm really excited today, and it's springtime. That's one of my major things, that I just love the springtime, and along with that come new flowers, new everything, and new friends that we have not introduced you to. Now, we have a real exciting show planned for you today, so I'd like to make some announcements ahead of time in case I run out of time at the end of the show. At present, I am writing my second book, and it is called Remembering Your Future. And by researching for this project, what that entailed, I went through all the shows that we've ever shared with you, so I could take all the wonderful people and hook them together in the new book here. And what I realized is that when, over the last 3 years, when we shared friends and shows with you, what I found is that the things we taught you and showed you, we were like between 18 months and 3 years in advance. And so even though we've shared that with you, it is now either current issues or much easier to understand. So I'm going on the road for a while this summer, and so I thought what I would do is 1 week I will give you a new show, and the second week, or altering weeks, I will start all over. So for the friends that have joined us much later, so you get to see all of them in the order that they was aired. So having said that, I will remind you again, next 2 or 3 times. So if you see something that is copyrighted in 1999 and thereafter, that's the reason for that. And so I wanted to let you know that, and that's enough of that. I'm going to take you straight to my guest. Her name is Tandra Bensko. And so if you be nice enough to welcome her with me. Hello, Tandra, how are you?
Doing great.
Cool. Do you prefer spring to winter, or?
Oh, absolutely.
You do?
Yeah. Yeah, I love spring. I love summer.
Everything's new now.
Mm-hmm.
Usually right about now, what we're going to ask is the friends, they're interested to know how we met. Do you remember how we met?
Peter Moon
Peter
introduced
Moon?
us. Yeah.
For the friends, Peter Moon is the gentleman that wrote the Montauk books, to refresh your memory.
Yeah, a good friend of mine.
And so one day I got a call, and he said, you have one of the friends in Olympia, and you better grab her while you can.
Yeah.
And so here we are. And you've been in Olympia how long?
Maybe about 7 months.
7 months. I guess we were lucky to get you.
Oh, gosh, I looked all over trying to find the best place, and I couldn't find any place better than Olympia.
In Olympia? Would you care to detail that?
Well, I just feel like the people here are more free thinkers than they are a lot of places.
Yeah.
People look like they're individualistic, and they have a mind of their own, and they are aware, and I really wanted to be around that.
We have music in the background today, and that is also a friend of Peter Moon's, and she had asked me to share that with you. The lady's name is Serpentine. Did I say that right?
As far as I know, Serpentine.
Serpentine, and so she sent us a CD that we can use for this purpose, so that's what you hear in the background. We met in person and visited and talked about everything except you. And so eventually you sent me some paperwork, and the first thing I came to, you said here, this is a quote, "I think I dreamed of art while I floated, waiting to be born." Can we start there?
Sure. Yeah, I do remember waiting to be born. I didn't know what it was for a long time. But it used to come to me when I was riding in the car, and I'd be curled up in the back seat of the car, and it would just remind me, I guess, the sound of the motor and a little bit of movement and something about it. And I remember in my mind there was a kind of a color, actually kind of similar to this color.
Similar to this. Now, there's a young boy, I talked to him a few years ago. He was just like maybe 3 years old, And I had telepathically talked to him before birth, and then at that time I asked him, after he was 2 or 3, if he remembered, and he said he did, and he described it. Orangey, he called it.
Kind of an orangey red, rusty kind of a color. Oh, that's great.
Great, yeah.
Oh, I'm glad.
Yeah, Beth Quist remembered life from conception. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. So, and at what time did you start developing into the artist that you are now?
I really did a lot just from the time I was a child. I guess my pictures were kind of different than other people's. Good compositions filled the page well and things like that. Unfortunately, I threw them all away. My mother never forgave me for that.
Yeah.
But I had a really great art teacher, really expressive, and when I went to start school, and so just always have, and went through a lot of phases, did a lot of painting and printmaking, and only in the last few years have I really focused on photography.
So I take it that you have, so I take it that you had a lot of encouragement during your upbringing?
Yeah, my parents were great. They took me to all kinds of classes, and so I really got to develop my artistic skills.
Well, that's wonderful. I think what we're going to do, since we put the pictures in a numeral order today, so we want to make sure that they were right. I think what I like to do is discuss some of your art, and maybe while you're doing this, we can fill in some what led up to it and things like that.
Sure.
And then if we have time left over, we'll get back to who you are and what else you do. So I think, which one should we start with? I have one on the monitor here behind us, actually. Is that the first one, or did that?
Sure, we can start there.
We start there. Okay, so Chandra Binsko is going to tell us a little bit what makes her do the things she do and the motives behind it. How about that?
This one comes from 2 different shots. One was in the forest in BC, old growth forest. I spent a lot of time, months, traveling around recently, and a lot of the time was just old growth forest.
And these are actually photographs or drawings, or both?
Photograph. This one has a little bit of painting along the edge. I painted on the picture itself, but so I took the photograph of the forest and did another version of it, flipped it around, made that smaller, did all kinds of manipulation, and combined it with this part in here, which is is a building in BC. And so just came up with something that can't possibly exist. The more you look at it, the more you realize it just doesn't make sense. But I'm trying to capture the sense of the spectacular I see, like in an old growth forest, where it's just so incredible and mystical and surreal, and just a plain picture of it doesn't always capture that. So, and I like the areas where, repeated areas where it looks kind of vaginal, and which is a sacred thing, in Tantra perspective. So, so this one is called The Maze.
The Maze. Okay, that's what we have behind us. It's called The Maze. That's right. You named all your. Excuse me. You named all your work. Okay, and then you want to go to the next one?
And this one.
Go ahead.
Is steps leading to an enigma, which could be a coffin. I like to keep the enigmatic quality in my art, because to me it's phenomenological. Are you familiar with that term?
Yeah, could you give another word in case of friends?
I don't know another good word, but basically that's saying that this art exists between you and me. I created it, but you're seeing it. And so what I saw in it isn't so important necessarily as what you see
what
it and combined.
Of it.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry.
So in this one, I'd be really curious to see what you see in it.
What I see in it,
Yeah.
I'm going to do that, and while I'm going to pick this up, one of the things that there's a new arts and entertainment magazine coming out. It's called The Buzz, B-U-Z-Z, and was fortunate enough to take part of that. So what's your part of the paper there?
Well, I just did an interview and photographs of a band called Romantic Retard Nation, and really enjoyed being able to go kind of deep with the questions and play around with the pictures and stuff, and just it's been nice to have some input into the paper. Like I suggested that you might want to do your thing for it, and there've been other things like that, you know, where I had some input. So it's been real exciting to be involved in the beginning of something like that. That should be really great.
Now, my thing she's referring to is I'm writing an intuitive advice column called A Visit with a Person of High Strangeness. Oddly enough, the same title as the show here. Now, I'm going to get back to this picture here. And you asked me what I perceive here?
Yeah, what do you see in that picture?
Intuitively or immediately? Which one would you like?
Either.
Either. Okay, well, immediately I see a gardener that, there it is. It's like a gardener that is taking care of the fruit of the earth, and it's real organized and loving here. Now, from an intuitive perspective, it's almost the same thing as someone taking care of your lifespan, which would, I don't know if it is even going backwards. And you mentioned a coffin, so I would, not necessarily a coffin, but I would perceive a time frame of a lifetime, which would be from beginning to end.
How interesting. Yeah, that's great.
Cool, huh?
Yeah.
Now, it's all black and white that I really like. And then you have the one red part to it. Would you explain that? That's beautiful.
Ah, thank you. That red part was part of this man's instrument that he had made. I took the picture of him in Victoria in Canada, and so he was just sitting there on the street corner, and he had this big unique instrument, and so that was part of it. And so I just took him and moved him, you know, so he's over this coffin or whatever it is with a little girl in it, her little girl's head, yeah, I just like the effect.
Yes, it's beautiful. Here, I'll hand that back to you so we can go to the next one. See, the wonderful thing is here that as artists we can really put our heart and soul into something, and
yeah, to me my work it's very passionate. I mean, I really do put everything into it, and I spend probably too much time doing it and don't get enough sleep and things like that, but
you are getting some recognition. I'm looking at what you sent me here. You got you went to University, Iowa, and you co-owned the art gallery, and you're making, see what else you have here. You have done album covers and CD covers, and
yeah, the Iowa was I was in the writer's workshop, so I was studying poetry, and so this is really just another form of poetry.
Another form,
for me.
okay.
It still has that kind of enigmatic quality, not easily paraphrased, I guess, that is the same way that my poetry is. And yeah, I've been getting a lot of recognition really fast. I'm really happy about it.
Fast?
Yeah, it really is.
I noticed.
I'm in a lot of magazines, you know, every day I'm writing to an editor and they're writing to me, and so just, you know, a lot, just in a week.
In a week,
I'll get, you know, a few new magazines.
Now they brought the next photo up, and that's that is called White Grove.
And yeah, I wanted to put this one on my website.
Oh yeah,
and
it's beautiful.
Have the little Mozart character moving around in different spots, and then have my character moving around in different spots, so they're kind of chasing each other and trying to hide, and make it kind of a playful piece.
I noticed you do quite a bit in black and white. Is there a reason for that?
I do a lot in color too. A lot of these just happen to be black and white, but yeah, I do both.
I like black and white because this way I can fill in the blanks and use my own imagination.
Yeah, this the scene, the woods were just along the side of the road, and I had to get out and take a picture, and you know, just a picture of trees in color wasn't as interesting as in black and white.
Yeah. How wonderful. Let's see. Let's go to the next one then.
Okay.
Let's see, which would be.
Yeah, this one.
All about. Well, wait a minute. It's called
This
All
one's
About
called,
Tundra?
No, that's just the name of this flyer. It was
it's a flyer.
For a show I was in. This one was the flyer for the sex workers art show.
Yeah, it hasn't come up yet. I don't know if they have this one or not.
They do. Yeah.
They do? Okay.
I was in that show because I teach Tantra yoga, and Tantra is associated with sexuality. It's a spiritual practice, but part of it is, you know, using love and passion and your body and everything as a spiritual tool. So this one, should I go ahead and talk about it?
Go right ahead.
It'll be up in a minute, right?
Yeah, no, it's there now. So go right ahead. That was kind of interesting where you went there.
Yeah.
Because the lady in the music that we play in, I had a conversation with her, and that was sort of her line of thinking also. So it kind of goes hand in hand.
It does. Yeah, I noticed some of her titles were tantric titles.
Yeah. So it was really appropriate that we played that.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
So this one, what kind of feeling do you get from that one?
Let me see here. When I look at it originally, it kind of goes from one extreme to another, from pain and suffering to innocence, how the innocence views the person that they're approaching. That's from a practical point of view. Now, from an intuitive point of view, I would look at it as life lessons, emotions, life experiences, some karma even, and two timelines where you experience something in one place while it takes place at another time zone.
How interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. I like to play with time a lot
in
my pictures. I don't like them to be too linear.
Yeah. So,
and that's
this is beautiful.
Thank you. That's one of my very favorite ones. I really like that one a lot. And the women, actually, I don't know what they are, what sex they are. Nobody was quite what sex you thought they would be in that. But it was from a costume ball, you know, and so then the other character there is my son.
Oh, it's your son.
Yeah, and the background, it used a few different scenes. One of them was a beach scene, strange surface that was built up, and worked a lot with my son, making him sort of transparent, and to me it looks a little bit like he's going through a nuclear explosion or something. You know, he's being vaporized or something like that. And the costume ball that that picture is from is the Dada Ball in Portland. It's the very last one. And Dada, there was a response to just the horror of the world and taking it into absurdity. And I feel, you know, there's so much horror in the world, and this picture to me kind of shows the absurdity and the horror and intertwined. The picture of my son looking kind of like he's seeing the end of the world right then. And I do a lot of pictures like that with my son. Hopefully, I'm not creating anything for him by doing that. But you know, I see the world around me, and I see my son in it, and you know, he's so beautiful. And so to work with him, going through the horrors in the photographs, it's really emotional.
Okay, now let me ask you something here now. You know, we have a lot of doomsday preachers at that time, and I mean, we have to acknowledge that the world is not a wonderful place at this point. So by you showing some of the possibilities, some of the probabilities of things that could happen, you know, especially in your art, how do you offset that in a positive way at all? I was looking at some of your pictures on the web, and every once in a while I can see where it's sort of not negative, but it's sort of gloomy over here, and then here comes something beautiful. And so sort of, is that what you're doing?
Yeah, I guess, you know, I don't want to do my art in ignorance of what's going on around me, and I want to be engaged with the world as much as possible. And so my art really does reflect what I see. And so it's pretty gloomy a lot of the time. And I want to be able to make a difference. And hopefully, the more people see my art, the more people will also listen to some of the things that I talk about the world, and they'll get more educated.
Because you write a lot also. So.
I write some, and I'm really proud of the links page I have on my website, because it's all these other fantastic writers who can do what I can't do very well. You know, they can get all these great statistics and quotes and, you know, details, and with what I'm doing here, it's more reacting to that,
feeling.
And you know, showing the emotion, because I see so many people around me, you know, who don't seem to know what's going on. They're just fine and happy, and you know, I have to kind of express that, but I also want to create another alternative. You know, if I'm learning about all those horrors myself, I can go look at photography or art or something, and I can just, if I find something really great, I can feel ecstatic. Or if I make something really great, I feel ecstatic. And so I think that creativity is something that's they're trying to squelch right now. And so that is the alternative, I guess, even if it's creativity using images of horror. It's still coming from the heart, and I try to do a lot of images also that are just pure beautiful and transcendent, and really provide an alternative to the horrors. But I just don't want to only do that and just ignore the horrors.
So I guess pretty soon we can go on to the next one. Oh, that's the one. Is that? I can't see so good.
That's the chemical company.
Chemical company, yeah. We want to devote a little time to that, because that seems to be one of your main.
It is.
Maybe from what I've heard you say, from my perceptions, one of your favorite pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's called Chemical Company. So please take us into your mind with the chemical company here.
Okay. Well, this one is part of a series, and the series to me is a kind of unveiling, unmasking, and looking behind the illusion. And so this is a small section from a larger picture, and then you can see the larger picture that'll come up next.
So are they going to be
is this going to be, I'm trying to get this all across the screen here for a minute. Is this going to be where you hang them all together at the same time, or in different parts of your house, or how had you envisioned that?
That's a good question. They may all be together at some point. I'd like to see that. Mm-hmm. So far, what I'm doing mostly is putting them in different magazines, mm-hmm. And there'll probably be a few of them together, mm-hmm. In my show in May at the Boyer.
At the Boyer, that's
like that.
In Olympia, Washington. Mm-hmm. For the friends around the country, where else can they find your art?
Gosh, it's here and there. It's in Atlanta right now.
New York, you said?
New York, mm-hmm. That's true. In Photography 2001 mm-hmm. exhibit. Both of them curated shows. And in the Tonic Bar in Boulder, Colorado. Mm-hmm. Let's see, another place in Boulder. I mean, in Olympia would be, what's the name of that place? Sylvan Wisdom. I always keep quite a few little pieces there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I'm not familiar. I don't think we're going to be able to do that.
I have art in Luxembourg.
Yeah, let's go Luxembourg for a minute, and then let's do that. And then I think what I kind of want you to detail is what brought you to the point that you was dealing with the subject.
With the subject, okay. Mm-hmm. London too. Got it showing in London at a show. Well, it could be that one reason that I got interested in this particular subject of this particular picture is because I come from a family, chemical company family.
Oh, you're a chemical company
yes.
family.
So my art is very kindly and lovingly sponsored by chemical company money.
Well,
so it's kind of ironic.
It's kind of ironic.
It's very ironic. And so I feel like it would behoove me to speak up about the dangers of chemical companies and chemicals. And so with this one, I think of it as being the board of directors is this guy, the alien here, because I feel like there's so much out there in the companies, actual chemical companies.
I'm going to outline that for the friends if I can figure out how to do this here. I want to go this way, I want to go that way. Here you go. The alien she's making reference to is outlined right here. Now you know how sometimes I'm not doing it right. Sometimes when, here you go, he's right there. When we chroma key, sometimes we get a little invisible here, and he's a little transparent. And when I looked at it originally, I can't do it. When I looked at it originally, I didn't see that. So I'm glad you said that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he would be right.
And then you see the man in red right next to him as well.
Oh, you have a man in red, but
that
the
big
alien is sort of.
It's a man.
It's sort of. There it is. He's right through here. That's what the alien is. See, I didn't see him. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a small picture that you're looking at there.
Yeah.
He actually is transparent. It was some kind of saran wrap or something like that. And my son and a friend of ours put this art show together with these two saran wrap people. And they wrapped this around each other and then got out of it. And so there was a hole in the back like they were locusts and they had left their shells. And so they were just going to throw it away, and so I ended up taking it and making a lot of art out of it.
Oh. Now the next one, you say it's a series, so we have another one here?
Well, maybe I should keep talking about this one, unless we're about to run out of time.
I don't know where we are, so let's talk about that a little.
Okay.
We're going to stay with the same photo here for a minute, the chemical company.
So the man I see as, to me, represents a person who owns a chemical company. The picture I chose for that is an actual owner of a chemical company. And next to him is the alien. And I feel like, you know, with all the things that are done in the chemicals put out in the world, that maybe there is, you know, some input by something other than human.
Other technology.
Yeah, because why would anybody human want to do that? You know, I mean, there's so many diseases that are caused by the chemicals in the food and the air and the water, and so it seems like maybe it's not just people making these decisions. And that's part of the unveiling of that series. Some of the pictures, they look more human, and others, they look less human.
Okay. So we go to the next one, which would be, if I can see this.
This is Reality is a Conspiracy.
Reality is a Conspiracy. Oh, that gives me an opening. We have a treat for you here in the next few weeks. We're going to have an exclusive interview with Jim Marrs on conspiracies. He's the author of Ruled by Secrecy, so I will announce it one more time so you can set your VCR and make sure everybody gets a copy of that. Okay, now back to you, Beauty. A conspiracy. Yeah,
Reality is a Conspiracy. I'm so excited about you doing a Jim Marrs show. I just,
yeah, a lot of people
That's fantastic, yeah. Your show in general is just really exciting. I'm so glad you're doing it. So this one, you can see, here's the alien, and then I stuck the chemical company person in next to it.
And next to it, yeah.
But I took it from this whole picture, which to me is kind of reminiscent of a Holocaust. These people lying there that are deformed and burned and charred and not looking very healthy anymore.
Well, actually, when I was looking at it, and keep in mind, I will try focusing I don't see well, but the first thing I thought about, there is a program on, it's called Earth, the Final Conflict. And every once in a while you see scenes like that of what we have done to the planet and what the results was, along with the alien, with the alien agenda here. So I think it's very appropriate to, and with all the other things out there. So when you look at that, you can actually associate that, where automatically you think, oh my, Holocaust, alien, that type of thing.
Right. Yeah. And over here, there's in the orange on the corner, there's the alien who is a different type from those, but more subterranean type. And
give another word for subterranean, please.
They live underneath the earth.
Underneath the earth.
And so you see this kind of cave over to the side, and this character was actually in stone. In a cave picture I took, and I modified it a little just to make it stand out more. But I was really surprised when I looked at my photographs how many scary aliens there were in the stone in the caves. It was really strange. It was almost as if, you know, some archetype had formed itself in stone, and, you know, I wondered if they ever put their actual imprint or consciousness, part of their consciousness in stone, and could affect things that way, like in statues or something. So that's a sort of a stone statue, but seemed very real to me. And so to me, this one kind of expands it, because the whole world seems like a chemical company at the moment. It's not so much just the companies themselves as reality itself. And the chemicals that we were being given so much of, it seems like they're there to create an illusion more and more for us, kind of mind control. And not only the chemicals, but our whole modern society. It seems like it's there to create this illusion and make us not notice that this Holocaust is occurring. And you know, not only in this country, but in every country.
Everywhere. It's a global thing, So let's see, we're going to go to the next one, and then Oh my. And this is called Simple.
Mm-hmm.
That'd make a good book cover, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't it? That's what I envisioned
Wouldn't
with it. Is it a book cover?
Yeah, well, maybe we'll discuss that.
It would be fantastic.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's called Simple. And what am I looking at here? I'm looking from a logical, it's, well, you know, the Hopis just send out messages to some of the friends where they said we're in the middle of the river and we're no longer on a rescue mission. We have to, as we're in the middle of the river, we have to look and see who's there with us and concentrate on who is there with us instead of going to the shore to rescue the rest of the world there. And when I'm looking at that, it made me think what the Hopi said there, simply because it's almost like you could actually safely get from one point to infinity in
Yeah.
in a safe manner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. I love that.
That's what I'm looking at here. And then of course you have the, you know, planets up there. So what is your interpretation?
That's it. Yeah. I do see a little bit of unworldly figure that's may or may not come through, but yeah, it's sort of like steps. It's sort of like water.
Safe passage.
Yeah, but then it just takes you right to infinity. And so it's a real meditative piece to me, and I guess that's what I see as the other side of this, is that you know, they're trying to put this illusion out and destroy things, but we have infinity. We are infinity. You know, we are consciousness, and that gives us power. The more we focus on that, that's who we are, and just be that. And I think that's what they're trying to stop us from doing. But I like to do art like that encourages, you know, something that you could just stare at and be reminded of who you are and the divine.
Would I impose on you if I was to ask you who they are?
They? No, that wouldn't impose.
Okay.
Well, I guess it's all of us, really. I mean, you know, I'm making this art with computers, and I resisted any kind of technology for most of my life, but tried to live really conscientiously and lived in caves and hardly lived in buildings at all. Avoided anything unnatural, all that. But, you know, I'm driving a car and all those things. So I think if I could really get in touch with who I am all the time, I would just be teleporting. I would be sending the messages.
Hey, I'd be
to
right
you.
there with you.
Yeah, and that's what I really used to do. I used to feel like we shouldn't use technology as a crutch. We should force ourselves to be who we are and bring out our abilities. And so I used to be a spiritual teacher and help people realize that part of themselves, and I could appear to them. I could do etheric travel, I guess you could call it.
Yeah, that happens a lot. People call you and they say, well, I saw you here, or I saw you, I'm calling you because it happens all the time. Now I was going to say something to my director if I could. I think these are all the pictures we have, so maybe what we could do is, and even if the lady and I don't show up, we're not relevant right now, we're just going to talk, maybe we could show all the pictures again in their entirety. You know, what do I mean? What do I mean?
Yeah, show them in order, that'd be great. Or not necessarily in order, but
not
just...
even in order, just, you know, where we can sort of step back and the friends can just look at the pictures.
That sounds good. Yeah,
talk a little bit. If you wanted to do that, that would be great.
So we're all involved, and I feel like for a long time I was not as involved, and I was finding my potential. I was able to do all kinds of things, and now I feel like I've been kind of dampened down, and so I'm very aware of they dampening me down, and felt like that anytime I'm putting pollutants out in the atmosphere, I'm implicated, but that I would not choose to do that if I didn't have to. That's not what I would naturally be doing. That something has created a world for me where I can't just be a breatharian anymore. I used to be a breatharian. I can't just
say that again. A
breatharian, where I didn't need to eat anything, just breathed the air and got the nutrients I needed.
Oh my, that's interesting.
Yeah, I thought it would be really handy. And I used to really have a complete sense of all my different levels of self, and I felt like that people like me are targeted by the American buzzsaw, things like that, to make sure that we don't get that teaching out too much. But I feel like everyone is targeted as well to some degree, and somebody's trying to hide something. They're trying to cover up that kind of consciousness. They're trying to cover up our sense of who we are, and I think it's humans, obviously, doing a lot of this, and I think that a lot of them are not humans behind their mask, that they're actually...
You just said a magic word. For 3 years I've been trying to do a show about masks. Would you, could I maybe put you on the spot and ask you to do a mask show with me?
Absolutely, I'd love to.
Oh, wonderful. Hey, we're going to give you a mask show here. 3 years I've been trying to do that. Cool.
It's a perfect time to be talking about masks. It's the unmasking of the world right now.
Now, financially, I find it difficult because I don't have the support that I need. Is that one of the ways you are being slowed down, or is that not a problem for you?
Undoubtedly, yeah. I know that they can really target people. If somebody says too much, knows too much, then very easily their jobs will just disappear. And but then this whole manipulated economy, you know, I think it's doing that to everybody, and the whole economy, the way it's set up to begin with, does that, because it puts us in a situation where we need to work all day long and not treat our bodies correctly, not be in the world, moving on the earth, and so you know, somebody's gaining from all this, and it seems like, you know, humans are not gaining that much in the long run.
In the long run, yeah. Well, you know, because we can set up for some of the conspiracy shows. Some of them we have done already. But the thing is here that we just happen to live at this time, and this was put in place so long ago.
Yes.
You know, so we almost like, what do you call it, system busters, like the Indigo children. We had made reference to it. They just kind of rearrange things a little bit, so someone else has to come and put it back together, maybe a little better than the way we have it now.
Yeah, I do feel like what's happening now has been set in place forever.
Long time ago.
And I've been feeling this moment in history coming so strongly my whole life, and you know, we're seeing reports every day, you know, about how 9/11 was by our own government, and that kind of unmasking, that kind of deception. It seems to point to me that there's something very dark going on, creating all this.
Now, one of the things that, and I've discussed this with some of the friends, is that we don't need to go in fear, because as soon as we understand how it works, then that takes away the fear, and fearless people cannot be controlled. Also,
it helps me not to get so angry at the people that appear to be responsible, because they're just tools, just like the rest of us. So I think we kind of even there.
Yeah, I feel like that the people are the tools for something else, which seems to be something you could look at as other dimensional, otherworldly, alien, demonic, and in the long run, that's sort of like the in-breath and the out-breath of God or something. It's like a destructive principle.
So when we say demonic and alien in the same breath, shouldn't we take that apart there for a second?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I think we all come from alien blood, and there are a lot of aliens that are not in any way demonic. And I think that some aliens don't really have the potential for love and kindness, and they could be looked at as demonic. And but demonic can also be looked at as, you know, just the destructive principle, for example, gone awry. You know, you can
now,
look
I'd
at
like
it
to
just
clarify the word alien. Alien, we're not talking about, let's substitute that for extraterrestrial.
all right. Yeah, definitely.
Because a lot of us are aliens, you know.
Yeah, definitely not what I was speaking of. No. Yeah, just extraterrestrials. And so you know, this kind of conspiracy, a lot of what it is a way of feeding on people's fear.
Fears,
I think.
that's a big
And so to me, fear, it's sort of like if you're going to burn yourself, you feel the pain and you jump away. And if you can't feel the pain and jump away, then you might just get burned. So I feel like fear is very useful. But it does need to be controlled. And and that fear is something that they're trying to create, and that it's one of the frequencies that these beings can drain off of us and eat.
So what's next for you?
Hopefully, getting in more and more magazines and more galleries, and I'm focusing on the web more than anything else at the moment.
Yeah, that was my next question. You know, is all your work featured on the web, or just some of it?
You can find quite a bit of it. You can go to my own website, which is www.tantragarden.com.
Tantra Gardens listed all through the show and at the end.
And so you can see my art there, and you can also see we're starting exclusives. And so the first exclusive is another Olympia local named Darren Lampton. And then the next one is somebody that you may know, Tom Montauk. I believe he's going to be the next one.
No, I've never heard of him.
He's probably somebody you would be really
good,
excited. He very young man, and he maturity of, you know, a very wise man, and he's writing a lot. And so I like the idea of the exclusives being writing and photography or art combined. And then I have a long list of links of other artists as well on there. Some of my very favorites.
It's called Pixieport, no?
Well, I'm on Pixieport.
Pixieport.
That's one of the...
that's how I ended up in your webpage.
Okay.
That's where it took me to Pixieport.
Yeah, and then I have a link section which would include things like Pixieport for my own art. And so you can see some of it, which is more my older stuff, generally on the web. And then you can go to the link section and you can find my art in all these other magazines that are online. A lot of them have online versions. Some of them don't, but...
I don't know how we are for time, but I'm going to put you in charge of the world for maybe 1 minute. Run with it, if you can.
In charge of the world. Oh, my goodness. Well, I am in charge of the world. And I think that all I could really do would just be send the full force of my love at it. You know, for it to realize how beautiful it is, and be empowered by that, and by that divinity, and that's what I've always tried to do. That's what I'm trying to do with my art.
So you think you're gonna remain in the Olympia area for a time anyway?
Yeah, I do expect to. I really like it here a lot, and feel like I've made so many great connections, like you, and yeah, it really feels like my home.
Yeah, I don't know how I'm for time, but real quick, let's go through the different timelines. And I'm not surprised that you came to Olympia because the friends there, we are all familiar with the different time zones and timelines, the time discrepancies that we have in this area here. Is that part of the reason you settled here, or is that, where am I going with this? Is this helping you with your work, or it was just a coincidence that you landed here?
Seems like every place I move, there's something really unusual
Weird,
about it. Yeah. It wasn't something I was aware of before, but it sure fits my art. I really like to play around with the nonlinear in my art and in my mind. I don't like linearity. I don't feel like the world is linear in any way, and I don't like movies that take you through a plot that keeps time in order. But it wasn't why I moved here, but I'm sure it's part of why I'm here.
We all landed here some kind of way, and some of us are, a lot of light workers are on the move right now. They just all over the country. They get on planes, they drive, and sometimes no particular place to go. It's just they need to deposit the energy wherever they need it.
Yeah.
And so you think, what's wrong with me? And I just aimlessly wander around, but everything's perfect for the moment.
I've done that for years. I really prayed, you know, where should I be, where I can be most useful to people? And I would always end up a place where a group of folks were saying, oh, we were praying for just this to happen.
Just
you know, you came and you know, what you did with us helped. And so I've always felt like I was working for evolution or something, trying to be at the right place at the right time.
Yeah, and sometimes we just accidentally, like as if we land something here. And then for the last minute that I have here, it says where you said here that your art is framed within the picture. The framing, once again, distancing the viewer from the sense of the image as fact. I found that really, give me a word.
Extraordinary.
That's the word. Oh God, I just had a total blank. And so for the Olympia people, you're really lucky. You have her right here. I'm sure that you'll run into Tandra in town. Stop and talk to you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I'm just volunteering. You're here all over the place.
Yeah, I love it when people talk to me in town. I mean, I go walking around in town just hoping somebody will come up and talk to me. So hopefully.
Well, I went down to Traditions to pick up my clothes for today, and I said, oh, I have Tandra Bensko, and for a minute then they said, oh, great, you know, so you're getting very well known.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they've seen a lot of my art. One person who worked there bought a piece.
Bought a piece, yeah.
And yeah, it's I love Traditions. They're such a conscious place, and just playful people, and yeah, it's a great spot.
And so we have to thank Peter Moon for being the conduit
here. Oh
yeah,
thank you, Peter.
To throw everybody together like that. And so next week you will see, like I said, you'll see a rerun. It's not really a rerun, it's a repeat because it's important. And then you have promised to come back at another time. We're going to talk about masks. Actually, someone told me you make masks yourself. Is that correct?
Yeah, I do. I actually had a whole show called The Mask Maker. One-person show. And it was filled with masks. And they were all hanging from the ceiling, and people could try on each other's masks, faces of their friends and things, to look at the other rest of the art.
My daughter bought me a mask one time, and it had things stuck to the hair they had used. So we took it back. We got a little concerned about that. So it's not going to be those kind where you have little fuzzies on the hair. I hear music. Thank you for coming. I had a wonderful time.
Oh, me too.
We'll see you again in a few weeks.
All right.
Enjoy your spring, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
cool.